But why don't we get to our first guest? He was on the show before. Look, you know that I'm a fan of music. All the notes from do to do, everything in between, Ray, the rest. I love it. He puts these notes together in such an unusual and melodic way. He's a folk singer. He's one of my favorites. Please welcome back to the show, Glen Plapinger.
Well, hello, Scott. It's
Hi.
so nice to be back. And one of those other notes is me, and here I am.
Yes, you are. I wish you was a note.
It could very well be. In other cultures, they have notes that we don't even know about.
That's the thing. We're relegated to these, what are they, 8?
8? Some say 7. I haven't actually counted them, Scott, but I know there's other notes in other cultures that we can't even hear with our ears.
Different musical scales, but here in America, we're forced to use these 7 plus all those little like half steps in between.
Halves and in betweens, but I don't like leaving America, Scott. I think America is a great place to ramble and rove.
That's true. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm going to leave in September.
Oh yes,
But,
I heard that announcement, and I
Thank you for
I
listening.
felt sorry for you.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, well, I felt sorry that you were headed overseas because, wow, the last time I was overseas, we were fighting a world war, and I never came back.
You never came back from it mentally, I would imagine.
Exactly.
You mean. Yes.
Exactly.
Okay,
Never
yeah.
came back. Never wanted to deal with what I dealt with over there, and so I picked up a guitar and hit the highways and byways.
The highways and the byways.
Yes.
That's good. You got to hit both of those. So if you haven't heard Glen Plapinger's music, you were sort of in the folk scene of the '60s. The Bob Dylan.
I was in. I knew Bobby. I knew
Robert Zimmerman was his name. At the time.
Yeah, Bobby Z is what we used to call him down there at the Half Cup Cafe. And
Did he
used to
like
play-
that?
He didn't like anything, Scott, and that was half of his problem. His music was inaccessible because he was just groaning and griping about the great American palette that we were painting with at that time. And I thought, well, somebody's got to say the truth. Somebody's got to say things about America that are good and true, and not just all the griping and complaining.
That's right. And you don't complain. You don't complain. You put like an optimistic sheen on
I put
most
an
of your
optimistic
songs.
sheen, but right now there is a lot to complain about, Scott, but especially with what the youth are doing. I don't like it. I don't get behind it. And
What
so
are they doing? What are you talking about?
Well, they're out in the streets, Scott. They're protesting. They're groaning. They're griping, and they're striking, and I don't like that.
So you're going to sing a song complaining about them complaining?
Well, I'm trying to set them on the right course, Scott, and if that takes a little complaining, well, I'll have to do it.
Isn't that what they're doing? They're complaining in order to set the world
And
on
I'm complaining in a better, louder, higher, more true voice, and luckily I'm on the side of those who are true, which is the police.
Oh, dear. Well, so you mentioned you have a new song. Is that what you're singing about?
Yeah. Oh, do you want to hear the new police song? The new.
I mean,
that new song?
if the band The Police had a new song, I'd be very interested. You singing a song?
This is I knew Sting. I knew Sting back in the
Did you
day.
really?
Yes, I did a little bit of.
Are you
work
sure you
with-
didn't just see B Movie?
I saw that too. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
But Sting.
You're on Jerry Seinfeld's side about everything these days, right?
Isn't he a funny? I laugh and laugh, Scott. I went and I saw the new Pop-Tart movie in the theater.
Really?
Yes.
So you had your own Netflix account projected?
Yes, I did.
Onto a theater? You rented
it
a
was
theater?
a joy, Scott. Just the funny situations about Pop-Tarts and
It's
things.
funny how these things they come out of the toaster and they make that sound. Cha-chunk.
That was a
Which
part I could
sounds-
barely keep.
Yeah.
Just that was one of the jokes in it.
It sounds like the Netflix logo in a way. Cha-chung.
Oh, I never thought of that, Scott.
Like, can you imagine a Pop-Tart coming out when it goes cha-chung?
I feel like Jerry Seinfeld would love you in Pop-Tart 2 or whatever he's going to do next.
Yeah, it
if
seemed
you-
like every
if you ever
comedian
got
was
into
in
comedy.
that. Yeah, well, anyway. All right, so you ready to debut this song?
Sure. What did we say? The police song?
Yeah, make sure you point that mic at the guitar if you don't
we
mind.
go.
Yes.
I usually
you
don't have a
basically
microphone.
put it right back to where it was.
How's that, Scott?
It's probably fine. I don't know.
Oh, let's see. A song about the boys in blue. All the youth are out on the streets. They are griping and complaining.
Complaining.
But if I was on the side of the police, It's those protesters that we should be shaming. So crack 'em on the head,
All
boys.
right. Okay, I don't know. Crack 'em on the head, boys.
Crack 'em on the heads, boys. Scott, Scott, I got awarded by the City Police of Boston my own baton after this song, and they said I could go out and bop a college student on the head if I wanted to.
You get one free one, huh?
Well, you get one free one, and there's nothing more than what a Boston cop loves in the summer, which is hauling a couple Emerson students to jail and give them a good tumble in the back of the van.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you, I'm not quite sure about that. I love your old stuff.
But
but
I'm happy to play some of the old stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Something that really has been on my mind, Scott, is just how the labor.
I don't know what you
the
mean.
people who do the work.
The people who do the work. That's right. You're pro-labor.
I'm pro people working, Scott.
Okay.
And when they decide not to work, that is a problem.
Okay.
And so I had a little song that this is one that because I came out to Hollywood during the strikes, and I wrote this one.
When I said your old stuff, I don't know that I meant something from last year.
This is last summer, wasn't it, Scott? Here's the. If you don't go to work, you might die. I'm on the side of the studios and AI. Put it in a machine, make those words more clean. I want an overlord like AI. It's got better ideas than these Hollywood guys. I love AI. That was one.
Yeah, that was one. You are right about that.
I thought you were going to interrupt me a little bit earlier, Scott. Like
Wait, are all of your songs meant to be interrupted by people?
Well, they do get interrupted, Scott, with violence. And it's usually on behalf of the protesters, and and that's why I keep this little stick on my side. Given to me by
your
Lieutenant
baton. That's
Jack.
that's in a fanny pack.
That is in a fanny pack on one side, and I've got the mace on this side, and I've got the gun in the back. All given to me by Lieutenant Jack Mackey, R.I.P. He was trampled to death this summer when we were chasing a bunch of protesters through the streets of Washington, D.C.
So you were joining him. He was on horseback, or
he was on horseback.
Okay,
he was trampled to death, which usually doesn't happen.
Usually you're on the horse to be higher than him.
Usually the policemen do a pretty good job up there, but not on this day,
No.
Scott. He was trampled to death. Of course, the protesters, we chased them to the end of Avenue D or K or whatever it was there in Washington, D.C., right by the Washington Monument. Then they turned around. And
you don't want that to happen.
They don't want that to happen. It was a short horse, and he was a tall man on a short horse.
If anyone's ever chasing you, by the way, just turn around.
Just turn around and run the other way.
Yeah, run right towards them.
Right. So yes, it's been an active summer. It's been a great summer, and for someone of my age,
It is June, by the way.
It is.
When you say an active summer, I don't even know that we're in summer yet.
I don't either, Scott. But if to me, it feels like things are popping off, and I want to be on the front lines telling people what they're doing wrong.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love your '60s stuff because it was kind of apolitical and
there's one from the '60s. Let's see. Parsley, rosemary, cardamom, and thyme. These are spices that make the food feel fine. But do you know where they come from? They come from Vietnam. I think we should make that into another American land. Southern America, Southeast Kentucky. That's what I want to call the Vietnam country. Southeast Kentucky is a place where all the spices come from.
Is this where you want me to interrupt you?
Scott, I haven't played that song in 30, 40 years.
Did you play it once and someone said, "Do not record that"? Because I've never heard it before.
That's not on a recording, actually, Scott. That's just that's just a back pocket fanny pack song that I'll pull out every
Yeah.
now.
Did you have a fanny pack back in the 60s?
And back in the 60s, we didn't call them fanny packs.
What did you call
Scott.
them back
Well, we called them we called
hindquarters?
them rock sacks. We called them rock sacks.
Rock sacks.
Rock sacks. We'd fill them with rocks to throw at the hippies.
Oh, okay. Gosh, I gotta say, Glenn, I, much like every older person, I was gonna say your politics have certainly gotten more conservative over the years.
Well,
but
political, Scott. These aren't political issues. I don't get involved in politics. I don't vote. I've never voted.
Okay, you really should.
I'm an independent.
Or maybe you shouldn't. I don't know.
I'm an independent, Scott.
You're an independent thinker.
Yes, independent thinker. But, I'm concerned right now. This might be the first election I'm actually going to vote in.
Oh, no. Don't tell me you have a song about RFK.
Absolutely, Scott. There's only one person out there that's doing what I think is important.
Oh, no.
And that is saying the truth. So this is a little song that I had about RFK, or what I call the real Kennedy.
Oh, dear.
We need another Kennedy like a hole in the head.
Okay, this is where I interrupt you.
No, but let me finish.
I let you finish.
Scott, let me finish, because
Okay,
I think
I'm
we need another Kennedy like we need a hole in the head. But I know one Kennedy that won't end up dead. That 2024 is who I'm thinking of. Robert Jr. Kennedy is who I love. Vote Kennedy and the brainworm, Kennedy and the brainworm, Kennedy and the brainworm for president.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, RFK Jr., he's part of the comedy community. He's comedy community adjacent,
right, isn't
Meryl DeShero. Meryl DeShero.
I love that show. Meryl DeShero.
Meryl DeShero.
Meryl
So we
Streep and
protect
Cheryl-
our own.
Yeah, Meryl Streep and Cheryl Strait. Isn't that right? Isn't that right?
Boy, Glen Plapinger, I don't know. This, do you have anything that's just about, like, I don't know, just a really anodyne subject? Just,
Anodyne?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. There's anodyne in the water. It's making all of us crazy. It's put there by the government to make us lazy, to make us all progressives, which isn't a good idea. Don't drink the water, it's not clear.
Okay, can I interrupt you
yes.
here? I don't think you know what anodyne means.
Sure I do, Scott. It's a chemical that the government puts in the water for mind control, to make everybody into a woke joke, is what I say.
Yeah, it's actually, it means inoffensive.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe you're thinking of alkaline, or I don't know exactly what you're thinking of.
I don't know what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
but
LSD? Maybe?
I did LSD one time, Scott, and it did not go well for anybody around me.
Really? Is
Yes.
that? Can I ask? Is that when you decided to become a songwriter?
Yes, yes, it was. I got off that transport boat, and from the war, and there was a guy on the transport boat.
So you
who
took
said-
LSD on the way back from the war?
way back from the war.
Okay, most people took it while they were there.
I know, and this was the 50s, Scott. Nobody was doing LSD on a transport boat.
Why is this? You said this was the World War, by the way.
It was the World War.
You were there till the 50s?
I was there until 1952.
You were just
I was still
cleaning up
fighting.
stuff?
I didn't. No one told me the war was over.
Was your walkie-talkie broken?
Oh,
or-
we didn't have walkie-talkies, Scott. It was an old crank. It was an old crank phone on the wall, and I kept expecting there would be a call that says the war's over. We got him.
Yeah. Let me guess. You had taken it off the hook once when you wanted to sleep in.
I took it off the hook, and that thing had been getting a busy signal from the man himself.
From
General Patton.
General Patton
General
got
Patton-
involved. Really?
Well, General Patton was going to tell us all it was over, and he did, and I didn't get the call, and so I kept fighting there, and through the
So you were just
Battle
like
of the
an
Bulge,
unsanctioned murderer for 10 years?
That is what's a mercenary, Scott. I was fighting in a one-man war, and that's when I wrote One Man War, of course, my first album, and then
Is that what One Man War is about?
One Man War is about me fighting a guerrilla war in the streets of Berlin against everyday civilians.
Were you noticing people saying like, hey, stop, the war's over?
I didn't speak the language, Scott. I didn't know what they were saying. And, it wasn't until U2's Achtung Baby that I understood what those words meant.
Really? So 35 years later.
35 years later, I heard that song and I thought, my. That's what those Germans were saying as I was, trying to complete my mission, which was kill as many as I could and then get back to the good old
Not to be
USA.
pedantic, it was an album title, not a song title. But that's my other show. But
well, I don't know what pedantic means either, Scott.
Yeah.
So that we don't want all these pedantics because there's a lot of pedantics in government right now. If you look at the,
are you going into another song? Is that what's happening right now?
On the Epstein tapes, there's pedantics, and they're doing lots of things. Release the tapes, and we will start to sing. Out in the streets, the pedantics have been taken over. So let's all make sure we send them away and have a roll in the clover.
I mean, the roll in the clover part is nice, and it's very 60s.
I'm worried about pedantics, Scott. I'm worried about them online. I'm worried about them in the internet.
Yeah. Again, you don't know what that word means, but I'm not going to correct you with what it actually means.
Scott, aren't you worried about what our country is going through right now? I mean, we have fought long and hard for these freedoms, and now it seems like everybody just wants to throw them in the dustbin.
Are you talking about the Second Amendment? Is that what?
Well, I love the Second Amendment. Should be the First Amendment in my book because ever since
if it was so important, just write it into the actual thing like originally.
Right. That's what I want to do that. I'm part of a group that wants to. It's called Get the Second Amendment at the Top. And
so what you want to abolish the Second Amendment, but you want to make it actually part of the first part of the Constitution.
I want to get rid of the Second Amendment and put it in the Bill of Rights. I want to move it right to the top.
Right to the top. Yeah,
yep.
Number one.
We should be able to have any kind of gun we want and do what we want.
You mentioned you're carrying right now?
Oh, I'm carrying right now. This is a little... There we go. This is a nice...
That's like one of those GoldenEye James Bond Lugers or something.
Yes, this is a golden gun given me by the police department of Boston. And they just...
Is that real gold as well?
It's real gold. Well,
they just give those things away?
They give these things away. If you know how to chase a protester, you get justly rewarded on Earth and not just in
That's got to be worth like hundreds of thousands.
It's a collector's item, and look what it says right here on the side, Scott.
What does that say? You're a little far away from me.
It says, shoot quick and think later.
That, by the way, it looks like they started with a bigger size font and realized they were running out of room, and so it gets tinier and tinier.
It's a short gun at the end. So they started on the handle here, shoot quick, and then think later kind of falls off.
It gets really tiny by the end of it. But
yeah.
All right. Well, I hate to ask you this, but do you have one more song to take us out into commercial?
Sure. And do you have a song that you wanted to hear, Scott? A topic that you wanted to hear about?
I mean, I loved the '60s. To me, were all about peace and love and.
Oh, I have many songs about peace and love, Scott. I'm happy to do one right now. Peace and love, that's what I'm speaking of. These are the values of my generation.
Well, that's going to be hard to rhyme.
But the only kind of peace and love that I most enjoy is when I'm at that police station.
Okay, he did it. All right, I'm interrupting. I'm interrupting. All right, we have to take a break. This is, I don't know. I'm regretting having you on first.
Well, I think, Scott, your listeners will be so happy that there's somebody out here saying the truth.
Yeah. I don't know that they're going to be happy, but I'm happy because we're cutting away from you and we're going to a break. But look, when we come back, this is an incredible episode. We have an opinion haver. We have a plumber. I never thought I would be looking forward to them more than one of my favorite singers who's apparently gone crazy from LSD coming back from World War II in 1955.
Well, thank you, Scott. And if anybody's still over there and they listen to this radio show...
A lot of people are over there.
Yeah, but if anybody's still fighting over there and listening to this radio show, you can just say, and I'm just going to tell you the war is over, but if you need backup, call me.
Okay, well, we need to take a break. We'll be right back with more Comedy Bang Bang after this.
Thank you, Scott.
Comedy Bang Bang. We are here with Glen Plapinger. folk singer. He didn't abruptly take off during the commercial, which I thought maybe I hoped he would.
I'm
but,
still here, Scott, and can be called upon at any time I'm needed.
So are you going to be totally silent other than being called upon?
I can't be silent this day and age, Scott. Everybody's got to speak out and say their piece.
So. Yeah. Have
right.
you been to the UK?
No. Have you?
I'm going there. in a
I
few
heard your
months.
announcements.
Don't go.
You listen too.
Don't go. Oh, yes, because you had a negative experience.
Well, I fought there.
You were fighting in England? I thought you were in. You mentioned Berlin.
Well, I fought all over Europe, Scott. I fought everywhere.
Those were our allies.
Everywhere I thought the war was, I fought.
Okay.
What kind of weapons would you use in your murders?
Do you know what are they called? The two
Nunchucks?
bullet thing.
The bandoliers?
Yeah, yes, I had those. But,
So just with the bullets you would kill
So you
people?
just throw bullets at people?
I had a bow and arrow at different times that had an explosive
Shot a
tip.
bullet with a
Wait,
a
so you
bow
were
and
like a
arrow?
Rambo type of guy.
What
Well, we didn't have that
confusing-
then. Scott, it was completely new at
You
the
were
time.
a proto-Rambo.
I was a proto-Rambo.
What a confusing death it must be to see somebody hoist back a bow and arrow and then seconds later you see yourself explode.
Especially if you're on the train in Birmingham.
Incredible. That's just, what a
Incredible
what a
story.
As
baffling
they say
last
there,
moment.
the tube.
Okay,
That's good to know. If
Thanks
I
for
ever,
clarifying. That's the most important part of everything you said.
Let me write that down. The tube.
The
if
tube,
I ever
yeah.
go. I'd like to go to Lichfield, England. Actually.
Yeah.
But the
what
beat cops in Lichfield are smug, arrogant men, and so I wish that the whole establishment was disbanded.
are you a victim of crime of some sort, or
Yes, thank you for asking.
It's not a question I usually ask. But,
I have been a victim of crime.
what crimes have you been a victim?
Well, I once ordered from my local Starbucks a grande Pike Place with whole milk from their mobile ordering thing, and it never showed up. And that's $4 that was stolen from
So
me.
you actually paid for it? Did you?
Yes.
Did you bring it to their attention?
Yes.
And what did they say?
They said, "Quiet down. You're
You are
getting
very
worked
loud.
up about nothing. We're sick of you," and they kicked me out.
It may have been the way you were approaching the problem. I mean,
Facts are facts. I was $4 out, and so that's a crime, which
I don't know that it's a
filed
crime
with
as
the police
much-
department.
I don't know that it's a crime as much as something you bring up with the Better Business Bureau or something
Better
like that.
Business Bureau. That's good advice.
Yeah, sure, but yeah.
Ooh,
Happy
Better
to give it to you.
Hang on a second. Let me write that down. Better Business Bureau.
Why are you
Scott
writing with a
Ackerman
quill?
sent me. Excuse me for a moment. I don't trust my phone.
How do you transfer all of that writing to your Substack?
My grandson takes a photograph of my foolscap, and then he somehow uploads it to the
Somehow,
superspace,
yeah.
and
That-
then
the somehow's doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Like,
and he gets it
stuff
from
you
his
should know.
phone to the Substack,
Yeah,
and so my
I
Substack
get
is
it.
all image based.
Oh, okay,
So
really?
AI can't scan it.
I believe it can.
What?
They're scanning a lot of images now.
Oh, what
yeah.
a bummer!
Thank God.
You're in favor of AI?
Yes, I am.
You're
you
out
hear
of your
his
mind.
music?
Of course.
You're listening to just the announcements at
I
the
got
top
lost
of the show?
in the melodies. I wasn't listening to the lyrics.
Yeah, yeah.
What a-
what are some of your other opinions?
Okay, great. So, here's what I hate. Poor line management.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the poor, which I also hate.
No, the poor...
Aren't you poor? You've only gotten $2,000 worth of royalties over the years.
Scott, there are other ways to make money other than royalties.
Why? What do you have on the side? What's your side hustle?
Scott, all I do is play music, but there's certain incentivized bonuses involved when you play music at a protest and then help the police out.
I see.
So I'm on the payroll of several, police
So
organizations.
the police are paying you?
I'm a Royal Order of Police member. And
Royal Order?
Royal Order of the Sheriff's Society, the beat cops of
Does that
various.
mean it
They call
predates the
themselves the beat
formation of
cops?
America?
The beat cops. They call themselves the beat cops
They
because
do
they
say
love
that.
to beat people down.